Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Restricted Republic. My name is Justus, and I can't thank you enough for being here. I truly struggled with how to begin today's video. When you study news for a living, you see trends. I've seen 3 trends now develop over the last 24 hours that send chills up my spine, and it should yours too. Nowhere in this election process should we be at the point we're at now, no matter what side of the aisle you sit on. Many of you heard yesterday President Trump come out in a Facebook speech about 45 minutes long. One statement within that speech where he stated that our election process is, and I quote, under coordinated assault and siege. Those words should terrify most Americans, if not every single one. We have seen an election process broken. We have seen an election process challenged. We have seen a political system fragmented. However, we are seeing something far more dangerous. And I'm going to show you 3 different facets of this discussion. Frame it up into the redundancy within mainstream media, and you tell me after this broadcast if we do not have great cause for concern. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to ask you a huge favor. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I certainly hope you will. I'll put a hand next to me as to what button to click. Make sure your notifications are turned on. And please help me share this video as much as you can. It is truly and most certainly the best way to help myself grow within this platform. Also, as you know, I don't ask for donations. Rather, what I do is I give you something in return. And that's restrictedrepublic.com. Right now, we're offering you 14 days free. Why do we keep saying this over and over? Because if you're following what is happening across many platforms, we all have to worry about our futures and where you're going to get news from in the format you deserve. Restricted Republic gives that to you uncensored and unfiltered. We try to key in on the most important news topics of the day, not to inundate you with everything. That's not what we're there to do. We're there to frame in, like today, things that are of critical importance. Now let's move on with this broadcast.
As president, I have no higher duty than to defend the laws and the Constitution of the United States. That is why I am determined to protect our election system, which is now under coordinated assault and siege.
Now, that will be the only portion of the speech I'm going to play because we have a lot of work to do here. After the speech, you can immediately start to watch how the mainstream media is going to report on it. I'm going to get there in a second. But first, there are 3 prongs of this overall discussion that I want you to focus on. 1, and as you know I covered yesterday, I'll throw a link up right now. Barr acknowledges Justice Department has found no widespread voter fraud. That's prong 1 of some unusual maneuvering that's occurring. If you go down in this article, though, and I'll just kind of frame it up for you a little bit quicker. Again, Barr being prong 1. Prong 2 was also discussed within this article. Someone's going to get hurt. The official, Gabriel Sterling, who we've covered before, said at a news conference, someone's going to get shot, someone's going to get killed. This is Gabriel Sterling. I've given you some background on him prior. I'm going to play this in 3 quick segments. I want you to listen in for a moment.
It has to stop. Mr. President, you have not condemned these actions or this language. Senators, you have not condemned this language or these actions. This has to stop. And all of you who have not said a damn word are complicit in this.
Now, my question was, complicit in what? What are you getting to? Words are extremely incendiary right now when we have a nation divided, people questioning the integrity of the election. Words are dangerous. However, when those words are repeated over and over and over again, they become incendiary. Column, Trump and his rigged election, liars are going to get someone killed. It's a statement that's extremely concerning. But now let's move to what I call prong 3. And Lynn Wood, out of all people, I'll let you listen in here as to what he had to say.
Where's Kelly Loeffler here? Where's David Perdue? He ought to be standing right here. Those two people want your vote, then they ought to tell you what we're... Get a special session of the legislature now. If Kelly Loeffler wants your vote, if David Perdue wants your vote, they've got to earn it. They've got to demand publicly, repeatedly, consistently, Brian Kemp call a special session of the Georgia legislature, and if they do not do it, if Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue do not do it, they have not earned your vote. Don't you give it to them.
I know you're probably silent and stunned like I was. I understand in some ways what Linwood is attempting to say. However, the probability of what he's asking for to happen is virtually slim to none. So why would you try to dissuade voters from coming out in the very race that will decide the control of the Senate? I'm simply not okay with what was said. Prong 3. Right after all this is occurring, in the midst of all this occurring, this absolute disaster, of course, CNN coming out and fact-checking the entire speech. Trump delivers the most dishonest speech of his presidency as Biden closes in on victory. They fact-check every single point. Facts first. This is entirely basis. The election is legitimate. Trump's opponents are not trying to steal it. Election officials are simply counting legally cast votes. Of course, that's the very thing that's in question. Trump says if he's right about election fraud, Biden can't be president. Again, in this 46-minute speech. But now we have those three phases. We have Barr, we have Wood, and we have Sterling. Each one of these articles parrot the same talking points. You'll see here on Fox News, and I'll go full screen, making this a little bit easier. Trump's speech, recorded in the diplomatic room of the White House, came one day after Attorney General William Barr said in an interview with the Associated Press, to date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that could affect the different outcome in the election. As I covered yesterday, told you that would become a centerpiece story. Going to the Washington Post. Trump escalates baseless attacks on election with 46-minute video rant. It's funny how all these headlines even read identical. And again, referencing the president's latest salvo came a day after his Attorney General William Barr said, and so on and so forth. Same parroted talking points. Let's go to The Guardian. Donald Trump releases video statement repeating baseless vote fraud claims. Down in the article, in an interview with the Associated Press, Barr said, again, to date, we've seen no fraud on a scale that could affect a different outcome in the campaign. Are you surprised by any of this so far? You really shouldn't be. They go into Krebs, they go into Giuliani. They're going to circle. We're not done yet. The New York Times, Trump in a video from White House delivers 46-minute diatribe on the rigged election. The president's rambling assertions in the video were drastically undercut on Tuesday by guess who? That's right. The article I told you, the statement I told you would become paramount in this entire thing. That being Attorney General William Barr about the election. But then right below, let's parrot another talking point. Mr. President, you have not condemned these actions or this language, said Gabriel Sterling. Stop inspiring people to commit potential acts of violence. In the current atmosphere and climate we are in, the potential for violence seems to be, unfortunately, too probable. So to put those talking points on, pointing the finger of blame at the current president and his constituents is highly concerning. But what can be even more concerning is that Trump allies are discouraging Georgia residents from voting in the January runoff. You see this three-pronged storyline staying extremely consistent, but let's not stop. Let's just keep pushing up the rhetoric, shall we? Donald Trump's Mein Kampf, the speech by Donald Trump posted on his personal Facebook page Wednesday afternoon, was a declaration of war on American democracy. This on WSWS.org. It was a scarcely veiled call for a right-wing insurrection to overthrow the election result to maintain in the White House a president who has been repudiated by the American people. Further down in the article, however, the main purpose of the speech, which brands the Democratic Party and most state officials as criminals, was to incite Trump's most fervent followers to stage violent acts against anyone targeted by the would-be Fuhrer in the White House. Denouncing those who desire to hurt the President of the United States, Trump demands that something should happen. He added, "These entrenched interests oppose our movement, but we must put America first." I invite you to listen to that speech and see if you take the same amount of furor out of that speech, how dangerous this rhetoric is becoming. But here we go. Later in the article, what do we have again? William Barr and Gabriel Sterling. You've watched media with us for many years now. You know how now the mainstream media works, how the same story is repeated verbatim, article after article, publication after publication. But now the consistency is not only dangerous, they themselves are claiming it can be deadly. Shivers up your spine, I hope, to realize the significance of what's occurring. In our America, we the people, they're trying to rip us apart at the seams. Hey, Gabriel Sterling, you don't have State of Georgia email. This was from Lynn Wood. The man is telling people not to vote in Georgia, but now he's going after a Georgia representative in Gabriel Sterling, all part of this threefold story. Gets confusing, doesn't it? You can see how this information can cause tension and confusion. A lot of America doesn't want to be confused. We're working hard enough out there. Working hard to just make a dollar, make it through everything occurring around us. And you're going to throw and disseminate this much confusion into our lives? That's not fair. Not fair to anybody. Gabriel Sterling here on his Twitter page. Voting System Implementation Manager for Georgia. I can go through the actual document. It's right there. This is no secret. This is just what it is. Accepting part of the CARES Act. I think it was $11 million. And on the very bottom, you'll see, if you have any questions about this request, please contact our statewide Voting System Implementation Manager, Gabriel Sterling, concerning that it's a Gmail account and not a government account. Going to Sterling Innovative at gmail.com. Why Gabriel Sterling is a very unusual character in some ways. Here is a clip that he did, just some information about what the Secretary of State would be responsible for.
We just expanded the emergency rule to allow for drop boxes to go through the entire election cycle now. We allowed for early scanning of ballots. And this year, we've really stepped up a lot in terms of getting poll workers in the lieu of the COVID situation. We set up a portal, and as of today, working with our partners, especially the ACLU and the Metro Chamber of Commerce, we've already given over 6,000 names to counties for people to sign up as poll workers.
Working with the ACLU and the Chambers of Commerce to assure that poll workers are recommended to the counties, extending mail-in ballot boxes, implementing the voting system. Some may call that some conflicts of interest, but he's giving his diatribe himself there. The same man, now on the Washington Post, election officials warn Trump's escalating attacks on voting are putting their staffs at risk. And now here's where it gets even further incendiary.
Mr. President, it looks like you likely lost the state of Georgia. We're investigating. There's always a possibility. I get it. And you have the rights to go through the courts. What you don't have the ability to do, and you need to step up and say this, is stop inspiring people to commit potential acts of violence. Someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get shot. Someone's going to get killed.
Self-fulfilling prophecies are very dangerous things. In a hostile environment, of which we've seen violence across the board, to make that accusation as some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, to me, is very dangerous and irresponsible. How easy, how many things occur absolutely out of everyone's control so that finger of blame can be pointed. Highly, highly irresponsible. Almost as irresponsible as what Sidney Powell and Lin Wood have done recently. Keep America free, stop the fraud, the speech that I played for you. Let's speak the truth about Senator Loeffler and Perdue. Why are they doing little or nothing to support efforts by Georgia citizens to address unlawful election and need for Brian Kemp to order a special session of the legislature? If not fixed, I will not vote in the Georgia runoff. Why would anybody tell anybody not to vote? We know what the problem is with the voting. But if it is not resolved, are you simply just giving it over to the Democrats to win Georgia and hand over control of the Senate? You're going to make it even easier for them? Already knowing that we're dealing with a system that is under litigation right now? That makes zero sense to me. You're just parroting this, you see, paid for and approved by Really American PAC, a Democrat PAC. Perdue, Loeffler didn't deliver for Trump, don't deliver for them. Why would you parrot what may be, in your opinion, the opposing side? Sidney Powell, Lin Wood opposed Trump, pushed Georgians not to vote in Senate runoff. Sidney Powell and Lin Wood may be in-kind contributions for the Democrats in Georgia. They gave them all the fodder they need now. They took it and they ran with it. Jake Tapper here, Lin Wood telling Georgia Republicans not to vote for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue next month. They have not earned your vote. Don't give it to them. Why would you go back and vote in another rigged election, for God's sake? Fix it. You gotta fix it. Contrary to what Donald Trump is asking for. We will be going to Georgia for a big Trump rally in support of our two great Republican senators, David and Kelly. They're fantastic people who love their country and love their Senate. Let's move forward. Donald Trump Jr., I'm seeing a lot of talk from people that are supposed to be on our side, telling GOP voters not to go out and vote for Kelly Loeffler and Perdue. He said this before this all occurred. Insightful, accurate, terrifying. Dumb Republicans lose Georgia to fraud and two Republican senators get caught in a runoff. Same dumb Republicans, no special session to address November or January election. Results will magically be different. You are setting up voters for a bigger fail. Make the process legitimate now. Thankfully, there are still some allies out there. We, as Georgia Republicans, will never give up on the fight to make sure that every lawful vote is counted and every unlawful vote rejected. Now, going back to Lin Wood, I saw an article on Breitbart, a very accurate publication, claiming that Lin Wood had supported Democrats, which you see here. He absolutely has in the past. And I'm not here to pass judgment on Lin Wood right now. I'm upset with what he stated. His record does show he has supported Democrats. Of course, I have this sorted from oldest to newest. If we were to go newest to oldest, just to make sure we're presenting both sides of the equation, all his donations now have changed. You'll see they're all Republican, moving down the list, and some rather large donations to conservative leadership alliances. So his record now has changed, but his message to me is absolutely unacceptable. I just work hard here to make sure you see both sides rather than just trying to paint everybody's opinion into a corner. That's not what we do at Restricted Republic. We allow you to formulate your own opinion. An opinion about ex-Trump lawyer Sidney Powell urges Georgia voters to boycott runoff election. To me, there is very little contrary story to that. Every publication took off with it. What's this going to do to the vote in Georgia now, which we were in enough trouble already? Control of the Senate hanging in the balance. What's it going to be now? An equal Senate? The deciding vote? Going to Kamala Harris. And why? I cannot understand why Powell and Wood would make the statements that they did. I can't. And I look forward to your comments. Maybe you can explain it to me and talk me off the ledge, because right now I am on the ledge looking over at what can be a leap of the Republicans by losing the Georgia 2 Senate seats. Deceitful campaign, the tactics to manipulate voters. Democrats aim to exploit divisions among GOP and Georgia runoffs is gargantuan understatement now. But you see how coordinated things can be. Trump making a very aggressive speech, 45 minutes, a prepared diatribe, as so many are stating, so many Americans questioning the election system. Trump adding fuel to that questioning. However, he has the right to challenge those votes he feels were not legally cast. That's where we're at in the process. Those challenges have been thwarted at every turn so far. So we have now a nation divided, questioning the very integrity of the most important process that exists in our great republic. But then why? Why is the mainstream media, is the likes of Gabriel Sterling, is the likes of Lynn Wood, now adding Sidney Powell to the mix, going and further dividing it? Understanding we have an issue that needs to be resolved. However, when that rhetoric takes the form it is now taken, my concerns get much larger and grander as to what single event, now being foreshadowed dangerously and irresponsibly by so many, may set off this powder keg of a divided republic. I'll continue to watch and report. I ask each and every one of you, please say a special prayer for this great republic of ours. It is on the very cliff of disaster if one thing happens that they can tie back and point fingers at one another and blame for what they're declaring could be violence. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous times. Godspeed and God bless. I hope if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you will. If you haven't gone to Restricted Republic, I certainly hope you will, because it is truly the way you support the message and allow me to continue to bring a wider audience news in the format that they deserve. Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.